Nana ba na anak sa wala pa? Ayaw sa. Grabe simba ko. Mayon jud ka nga anong gibuhat bro yung dangon na nako ni. Nana. Hi, good afternoon. So once again, I'm Paulo from Aquila Softwares and welcome to Vision to Venture, episode 7. No? So this time around, this will be a different episode, no? Kay dili ako ang nag-interview karon, but rather ako ang interviewon. So I have here students, entrepreneurship students from Ateneo de Davao University, and I would love them to introduce themselves. Actually, this is our second time that they'll be interviewing me, so I'll let them discuss it during the podcast. So, go guys, kasi mag-una.
So, hi, I am Hans.
Hi everyone, I'm Charles.
Hello, my name is JP.
And I am.
Sige, so who would go first?
Ako na.
Sige, go.
So, first ever question for this episode is, Sir,
Kuya Juan.
Kuya Paulo, how did you start Aquila Software?
Okay, so Aquila Software started 2019. Sorry, 2019. It started actually, di naman siguro accident project, pero what happened was my former boss, gi-hire ko niya to migrate an offline clinic management system to an online clinic management system. Karon, along the journey of development, namatay to akong boss. So, in short, ako na lang ang nabili na dev kay that time, duharami. And then, ang iyang business partner is a medical representative. So, non-technical na founder. And then, namigo naman po nako. Tawag siya sa ko one day. Ingon niya nga, Paul, dili na nako mapadayon ang business. That time, naana sila 34 doctors onboarded. Di na niya mapadayon ang business kay non-technical man siya na magliso na siya support. So, siya i-turn over na ko nimo. So, ikaw na ipadayon. Siya, tiwasan na lang ng web na software o niya ibalikin na itong mga doctors. Siya, regalo na lang ako na sa inyong kasal. Kaya that time po, kaslunan man mi ni Mrs. Akong ex-girlfriend. Kaslunan man mi. So, na-timingan na po. And then, gihatag po niya ang IVF, Davao, laboratory na project ato na time. So, and then, it started from there. Of course, nanay product, nanay ready na doctors. So, ang kalbaryo, dito na nagsugod. Yeah.
So, for free lang yun, sir, no? Kung ni-captain, or ganang gitar number, for free lang siya.
Yes, actually for free lang siya. Nag-ano ganit ko na i-appeal siya sa incorporators pero nibaliban pa po siya.
Kung nag-start ka, sir, obviously, it's a very scary thing. So, what's the mga thoughts behind, like, we start na ako'y padayon Aquilas, so ako na ako ni, kaya na ako niya. What's the mga mindset or sa thought process during that time?
Actually, walay scary thing time sa kuha. Like, kada-gani mo we started as developers but good. So, technical dyan akong background, programmer. So, katong time nga, murag gihanyag kong business, wala dyan kay, like, hadlock ni, unsa akong kind of operations. Wala dyan ko na na. Ang ako alam dyan nga, uy, gwapo ni na opportunity. Larga, ragid ba? Puro excitement, ragid ang nahuna-hunaanan. Dito na ako na-realize ang kalisod, katong pagsugod na yun. Ayun.
Kasi pinakalisod ako. Like, at the starting point.
Pinakalisod? siguro ang first challenge na we encountered was, what's ba? So, i-ano na ako, para ma-recall po na ako. So, mo to nagpa-sugod na mi development. And then, ang first na akong na-encounter na difficult is actually going to the doctors and talking to them one by one. Kay wala mo kay hanaw, ana. Although, I started as, nagsugod mo po kong power sa una, MLM, 2011. And then, 2012 day. 2012, onya, nag-business pod mi o events, ana. Pero this time, it's a whole other experience pod kay mura kog medrep na magtok-tok gid sa clinic. Ay gipaadto ko ni friend ko ni ano siya. And then ang target market, they have a dili man good like negative. Pero like kanang they have a different personality compared to ako mga naging clients before. So I think that was something na tricky ato na part, no. So kung nag-develop lang ko, nag-code ako arang-arang, pero katong customer na experience and ang customer na na interactions mo to'y medyo challenge na ato when we started. Go.
So, di ba sir, marag, as someone na, di ba, dili kay ka na, kay more on programming, so medyo less ang interaction with customers. Unless na lang gid kung si customer mo agto kay na siya dili masabtan sa current platform na ginabuhat. So, syempre kung tung nahimo ka murag medrep good sir. Siya murag nahulog gid na learn as you go gid ang interaction with them kay very lahi ba ang interactions with like kita entrepreneurs, so very outgoing ta. And some doctors kay medyo kay na sila no. Gid ba? Lahi gid ang sila ba like murag I'm better than you. Kay syempre med school ko. Gets na kay nakoy cousin na sa med. Yeah, so murag lahi gid ang takbo sa kay na mga points na dili nila maget. Napod kay mga points na nga dili yung maget. So unsa ang current gid na or unsa imong ginagamit pang size up sa imong mga doctors gid na nga himong clients today?
Actually, mo to akong isulti wala kay kog sige there. Pero anyway, yeah, that's true. Kanang naagid sila not all not all. Pero mostly sa akong mga na-encounter na clients before naagi ka ng something na siguro ang ako ang maano lang gid is that building relationships, no. So I have this one client na ang example na ako to explain further. Ang gibuhat namo ni Mrs. kay actually isa sila ka-clinic tanan, and then ang OB ni Mrs. is ang iyang igsoon. So dito po mi OB hantod ang pedya niya isa ang igsoon. Yeah, dito gid mi nagapa-check up building relationships until na friend na namo kadugayan unya. Actually wala ko nag-offer sa iya og service na timingan lang to na kanang niabot po tong medrep katong I was katong gikwento ako before na boss ako sa una kay ginasupport po din niya which I didn't know. Pag adto dito siya nalagi ka dribble kita ra pod mi siya mo to gi-introduce ko niya accidentally dito kay doktora. Unya kay friend naman ni doktora kay syempre dito gumi paminiga pa dali na lang pag entrada. Ay yes dok. Diretso na dai. Lakas na So okay na. So I think dili lang siya applicable sa amoa but in all aspects of sales and marketing, building relationships, like genuine relationships, not just for the purpose of kay baligyan mo sila gani. So I think that's one key to really close the deal.
So, murag ginasell gid nimo ang ilahang service or ang service nimo sa ila kung unsa gid ang ilahang demand.
Yeah.
Na okay.
As of now, sir, unsa yung mga challenges na gina-face sa Aquila, sir?
Honestly, funding ang pinaka first. We have a very tight cash flow, no? So what's happening now, na lang nako, and I think I'm very open to this to anyone mo po na makastorya, no? honestly, segue na lang ako. One of the, you've asked me earlier kung unsa yung purpose, ani. One of the purpose gyud sa Vision to Venture is to really, sa ba, really show those katong mga gustong mag-entrepreneur, gustong mag-business, what's the life of an entrepreneur. Dili lang tong successes nga naka Lamborghini, naka gusto ko mong yumaman. No, so dili lang kana. So going back to your question, Aquila currently has a very tight cash flow, which I think all startups can relate, no? And then because what's happening is si consultancy Manggod, which is si Aquila Software Corporation, is the consultancy business. Ginabuhi niya si Clinics Plus, which is our own product. So si Clinics Plus Manggod karon is in the planting stage. No, so nata sa sales and marketing na part. So there are a lot, sige lakaw, sige marketing. So of course, so dito ang expenses na hulog. So bali murag ang isa ka company nga siya nag-generate og income, ginabuhi niya duha ka kumpanya yang ginabuhi. So mao nang challenge gid karon sa Aquila.
Sir, you mentioned that you mentioned that Aquila's software ginabuhi niya to companies which is Aquila's itself and Clinics Plus. So as of the moment, dili pa daw sustainable parang revenue model sa Clinics Plus, and also yung plan nila moving forward to make Clinics Plus independently sustainable. Hindi dili siya kayang depend sa Aquila's. Okay.
Yes, to answer your question, yes, si Clinics Plus actually wala pag igasulod sa your money. No. So, we are although we are looking at Clinics Plus to become the cash cow maybe a year or two from now. No, because of its revenue model, naman jud sa B2C ang scalability, no. So, mao na mong investan jud karon sa Aquila. Plans moving forward to continue executing kung unsa gid tong naka-intended gyud ni Clinics Plus na revenue model, no. So kana siya, and I think there are a lot of exciting new features coming up. As of the moment, Magod, we just launched phase 1. And I think for phase 2, in fact, karon we are onboarding pharmacies, laboratories, and more doctors para daghan pag makater na patients. And gina-develop na pod currently, I don't know if correct ba, basta makasabaan ko sa kong project manager. Pero I think they're already developing the AI integration for the 6-in-1 health monitor na kuan. So, yeah, kana ang mga innovation. In addition to that, I'm very excited because we just did a partnership with Serial Disruptors in Cagayan. So, kana siya. Those are the things that are really exciting with Clinics Plus coming up.
Sir, sa mga people mo sir ba na nag-support sa mga plan, dili ba nila gina-question sir like dagan sa kung unsa gid na start niya, like nagid ba ani padulong na inanang so gina-support ba nila or like ginatrabaho na lang for the sake sa sweldo?
You mean, there are actually, tawag ani, well, there are, in terms of people, no, in a corporation, you have your stakeholders, investors, you have your employees. In terms of investors, Aquila has, pila 9 ata. So far, wala pa man pod yun. There was this one, lang po. I think this is also something na a lot of startup investors should be educated about. No, nga, ang business or a corporation, it's not like a sari-sari store na pag muhatag ko 100,000, ipalit ninyo luya, balig 100,000, tubuan og 15, something like that. Yung mo balik na yung kwarta na. So it's not something like that. Medyo na mga pero I think the beauty of the business that we have is that it's a very long-term business, and kung mapakita lang nimo sa ilaha where the business is going, okay man pod. And then, at the same time, we are hitting our milestones. So, medyo kalmado lang pod ang dagan sa mga investment. In terms of employees, I would really proudly say na Aquila has a very sabay tama na ano. Gwapo gid kay mo ang culture sa work, no? So, um, siguro ang ano lang gid sa mga employees karon kay kanang of course they have their needs pero so far enjoy pa man gyud sila sa office, ganahan pa man gyud sila mo duty maski holiday, so okay ra gyud kaayo pa ang dagan, although honestly as a founder, naa jud sa imuha na kanang murag bothered ka kung will I make it to the next payroll or kaya ba ginano, because those are the things that you would really think about, no? So mo ni always na mo ginaingon ni sa amigo na abi nila sa yun ra gyud negosyo, no? Aber gyud nila, pero pag nana jud ka diha na gyud. Kana.
So, unsa may ano nimo sir, like, so unsa may no, basis nimo na kana nga people ang imong i-appeal sa imong business, sa imong mission sa imong business.
Oh. Actually wala. Mura kanang gut feeling. It's more of like I think I've shared this before na kanang you don't want to work with a person that you don't want to have coffee with. No? So if kana siya na person is someone na ganahan ka magkape, istorya mo, then it's someone na good for the culture. Although honestly, the system is not perfect. No, we have experiences kuan na butang. Pero of course you learn and then you move forward. That's how life is. Wala man tayo mo. Namagi mga kuan. Kumbaga sa Bisaya pa sa isa ka bulig naman joy ungol. Kata so grabe tigwanga og mga analogy ni sir. Angkol og analogy. Pero yeah, so ingon na siya. Going back to your question, wala jud kay bay like kanang murag feel lang ba hikap feel na ko okay di siya dili. Okay na.
So, dili sa mga sir, kung dili importante sa mga graduate or like, educational attainment sa ganang gina-hire.
Dili. Controversial jud. Diploma or diskarte. Well, ulo po kay ko kung require ko graduate, yan ibi ako graduate. Di ba murag lain na pa si sir yeah, so to answer your question, yes, I don't really mind. In fact, I don't ask for a resume kanang in initial interaction. Wala akong nag-ask ng resume. Siguro I always hire people na kanang sabay common denominator na mo. Wa po ganito kay common denominator. Maybe it's just that ang mga tao sa Aquila, we have the same Gen Z term, the same vibe. Gen Z terms. Yeah. So, I think kana siya. And in fairness po, usually ang hina-hire is dili po yun nga naka-skill. In fact, I don't hire senior developers. So, ang senior developers na mo sa Aquila has been with sa Aquila na sila na senior. So I have this one developer na he started out as free nga them. So sige mo, apil-apil lang po. Apil-apil siya ko. And then, antod, gihaya na mo. Antod, nagtala siya mga friends, nag-OJT sila. Antod karon siya na aming senior developer. So, ang mga senior devs po na mo ubay, katong mga head, is friends na po na ako for how many years. No? So, ang mga juniors na mo karon is like from scratch na newbies. In fact, I've hired people from Atokason, mga software engineer graduates sa Atokason. No, so kana siya nya nagi may hire na college dropout po na karon na siya sa water QCP. We're very proud. This is from Atokason. This is the tawag ni para bang tawag na non-profit arm sa Aquila. No, so I'm very proud na from college dropout karon he is working as a software engineer sa Davao City Modern District.
No, so amo po to siyang i-hire. So technically, I don't really hire for papers. I don't hire experience ng mga tao. Ganun siya. I always want to give chance to people na katong coming from the low, underprivileged na.
So sir, naman niyo na topic sir, no? Gusto mo yung view niyo na sir? Diploma o
Ginapos, ginawat na ako.
sorry. Hindi sa diploma kay syempre you're about to graduate right now. Pero sa ibang perspective sir, gusto mo yung take mo na sir?
Well, disclaimer ha, if you can have both, have both. Okay, first, kung kaya ni mo nga mong eskwela ka, eskwela. Kay not everyone has that opportunity. No, so you are very blessed if you can go to school na wala kay problema, like you have all you need to do is just to go to school. Please do. I implore you to go to school. No? Kana siya ha. Disclaimer na. Kasi mabash na. Ay, ino si sir, pwede na. Dili mo disita na. Patay. No, dili. No? So, if you can go to school and graduate, please do. Okay? Next is, if I can only have one, which is, ballroom ko na sa kuha, discount. Oh, so kana. Okay. Well, again, this is based on my own experience. I'm not talking about some other people. This is my own experience. No, because when I studied, dili ko din to. I'm very blessed with having a parents supportive. No, so although honestly financially dili gani nga well off. So I needed to fund my school. I think mga 2016 started kaya nag-work naman po ko. Maulaw ko mga yo. Okay, nag-work naman ko. And then, na ano man niya, na-hire ko. Actually, when I started programming, it was because of a bootcamp. So, pagka-hire na ako dito, I thought, sige, okay, honestly, gusto ko mag-lawyer. And then, gusto na ako, kay kung mabalik ko from scratch on psychology, mag-hassle naman kayo. Tinawag ko ka-apply o public school good, kay nakastart naman ko schools before. So, what ba yun ako? So, I funded my own education. Kaya nag-work naman ko. And then, kapo yung nagbayang by duty ka graveyard, school na ka pagkamuntag, ano pa. So, di ba? Ano yun siya napadayon. So,
Sa entrepreneurship no, a very important motivation. Okay. Um, the fire that made us continue the path that we are going to as an entrepreneur, yung motivation that aside sa money motivation, that motivation that overall. Pero in the long run, ako yun, manita. Sometimes rin ako burnout ta. Sa mga may kwarta ni Gimo, ano ko yun. So with those challenges in my, you mentioned earlier na long-term yung business. So how do you keep that motivation? Like, how do you sustain that motivation despite the challenges that you face?
um, actually, first reason is family. Okay na ako. Every time I look at my little princess, kanang kada buntag, gusto ko kasi sa akong kumisis na kamot yung mami nga, dili niya maagian kung sa mga agian. I think mo, na ang pinaka number one ginako motivation. And then second is, I have a lot of experience, bad experience in our healthcare system na related with finances. So, share lang po na ako. Ako ang sister before, operahan o appendicitis. Okay. Actually, the medical is na-misdiagnose a couple of times. So, almost hapit yun ma-GG. So, karon katong time nga last, na ganyan, like, buwan din sa kasakit sa FPN, ito na. So, kailangan sa operahan, diretso-diretso ba? And then, that time na, may event with kita, ito sa Yusef. So, tawagan ko sa mga din yung operahan, kinahanglan down payment. That time, di ko kalimot, 14,000 ang pangayo. Kaya na-admit siya sa Ningos Man Hospital. And then, hila kong taman, siya. Kaya wala ito yung 14,000, wala ako ikakuhot, wala ako ikailang, 14,000, hila ko lang dito, ampo kasi So, kana siya na experience, always din ako rin ginabalik, dili na akong gusto mahitabo sa masking kinsa or sa masking kinsa ng members kong family nga mahitabo ka nagbalik. Nga dili na ako ma-admit or dili na ako dili ko sula mo kwarta. So, kana siya. Mo na siya ang isang sa nila. Always you know, balik-balik. And then, pag every time nga ano ko, ma-down, ma-discourage, kana ko lang nag-fuel sa ko. Pag tanaw ko sa mga anak, daddy, wala na diaper. Uy, pangot tayo. Di ka ako naman. You know. And then, ako ang family. You know? So, also, siguro, sa more personal and more sa mga like, greedy na sa mga kaya mo lang ito my story is hindi ko siguro may like they can develop so we're growing up kanang kuan ka na musunod I don't know kung naka-experience mo ano pero ako sa una dili ko nagatanong pag dili ko mapalitan like every time na nakagusto sa kid mga tayo ni Guma nakatay konta ulit ani gani so kana siya na experience ko nung dako ko ay di ko dapat sunod pag masunod ko mall di ko mo ka ng pursue kanang gusto ko na ulit yan gusto ko ano o di ba medyo selfish pero kana siya pa mga more personal na
Sir, kuan, sa pag-negosyo, oftentimes, kuan sila, visionary dito. We think things are like, oh, nindot kinitris, dapat mo. But in reality, did it, right? How do you balance that? How do you balance being a visionary at the same time being realistic ka? Most especially sa industry o sa Pilipinas na
that's a thing
may nga.
grabe sila sa bukatan naman well um ingon sila actually in the tech world a lot of developers are version Steve Jobs kung nga nang ginatawag yung genius na in fact he did not even broke a single line of code during the first Lisa nga na first but the real genius of Steve Jobs is zooming out meaning he sees things na wala pa nag-exist and that led him creating what Apple is now so I think going sa imong question in terms of vision I never change my vision. In terms of reality, I adjust to it. So what I mean by that is that kani akong gusto pa doon na naapa ko diri karon. Layo ko magkatod yun. As in, layo pa kayo. Naapa ko diri karon. Mo ning realidad karon. How do I adjust things para maabot ko dito sa often? So, for example, we want to create, because the vision of Phoenix Plus is to really create an ecosystem of healthcare services. Now, one top of your phone, nahanatan ng top file, doctor's appointment, laboratory, and everything. Nahanatan. How are we going to achieve that? Given the reality, regulations palandaan, left and right, funding palandaan, pinamisura, no? So with that in mind, those are problems that you really can solve because that's already a reality. That's what's happening now. Plus government, problema. So what we're doing is that we're adjusting. We're looking for ways now. How are we going to achieve the same goal with the current reality? So
Do you think compromise mo sa reality or do you like strategically navigate through it without compromise?
what do you mean compromise?
Like for example, I want this feature for my quarter. Na lang.
Well, compromise. I don't think it's compromise, but I would say it's more of um. Ako muna tao ko ano ko video. If I mo even sa mga tao like the way I manage them or lead them is I give them a task. I don't care how you do it, basta you do it. Ana mo to. So kana the same principle is kina-apply mo sa sarili niya. This is what I want. By hook or by crook. So, ano nang product ang ano? Kung hindi dili na ako natulugan ng mga tapo. So fortunately, I think I'm blessed enough na palingan mo si Ginoo, grasya sa Ginoo, kuha na po, mablasta na mo. No? So, pero, honestly saying, dili pa kita na yun. No, dili pa rin siya like 100% makuha ko yung mga realidad hindi na. So, kung dili, then, dili siya pwede adjust. So,
Okay, sir. So, ano no, going back tong sa question ni Fabs, about kanang financing, di ba? Ako, sir, kayo, na-discuss ko karon. Very small pa rin siya. Yan, small lang din na takeria. So, ang ano niya is, I'm looking to expand. And kung possible, kay maragdag. Sa mo deadline sa kung sa pag-graduate ako by June. Dapat yun, sustainable ng business. Possible na yun siya. Wala ko dito. Pero nag-function siya. And ano ba, yun ang gusto nang mag-branch out. Kung possible, dali kami hapon sa taong-taong. And may mga nag-offer of investments for you. Paspas ba tayo na ka dayon kung nanay mag-offer of investments or lang, i-timing pa na to siya into latter pa.
pila ka years in business?
Ano pa lang sir? 6 months pa lang.
6 months pa.
6 months pa. Pero okay na ang sales medyo siya. So, to lang nakita na ko market. So, nagahuna-huna ko siguro branch out na ko siya. Or ingon na medyo paspas ba or unsa ang sir ba like mahatag nimo na advice regarding handling financiers or financing the business or expanding kay di ba sir naman kay duha ka ka unsa sa Aquila katong unsa gito sir balik tong Clinics Plus o katong Aquila. So how do you handle yung finances mo ba kay mao man gyud na always ang mali gid sa starting business owner maski nga ako gyud di gid maiwasan na pag kanluho gani sir naagay luho ba na makaon sa jud ko ba nabitay kwarta mabalik lang bitaw pagka ugma pila lang man ang unya unknowingly ikaw day nagapatay sa imong negosyo kay instead na gatuyok ang kwarta gatuyok ikaw nagagamit so moto ko sir ba like unsa handling ng finance expansion sa business.
Siguro sugod ko sa in terms of it's too early or if it's the proper timing, honestly, ikaw yun maka-answer ana. Kay ikaw man ang kabalo sa day-to-day operations nimo. So ako maybe what I can advise, although honestly dili ko wala ko katry og food na business ha. So I'm coming from a different niche, bali. So although in terms of expanding, ang always ko ginakaingon is that if you already created your operations na katotama ka, namudagan sa maski wala ka, then that's the one of the things na you should look at. Kung kaya na siya nga, kung wala ko matulog lang, kumudagan na akong negosyo, then maybe you can do so. And then maybe I think for expanding, a lot of businesses nag-franchise because I think it's a lot easier. Maybe you can look at that angle as well. For your isa na point ka ganyan in terms of investment, if it's okay to ask or seek investments, if you kanigid always ang ginaingon maski sa daghang friends na like mangutana yun sa investors, if you don't need it ayaw dawata. If your business is already profitable, why the need for additional investments? Unless you have something na kinahanglan jud nimo gamiton ang kwarta, then you go for an investment run. Pero if dili gani, like kanang profitable na imong business, why give away a piece of your company if it's already profitable? So kana gyud ako ang standpoint always. And then kani I've learned from I consider him one of my mentors, from Sir Mark Maglana. he was a former Tesla engineer, currently he's a senior DevOps in Linux Foundation. I really can't forget this lesson from him. Okay, that time we were looking into investment run. Unyaan ako na I need 5 million pesos pang contingency fund. Ingon niya sa ko ana siya nga kung ang imuhang 5 million pesos ibutang lang nimo sa bangko without you having a clear goal unsay gamitan nimo sa money, like the money is just sitting there, ana siya, it's a money depreciating, no? So it's useless and it's a waste of money nga ibutang lang nimo diha. So unless you have a clear goal on unsaon nimo ang kwarta, then you go for it. Pero pag dili gani kung profit, like what you've said, if it's already profitable, no need ba yung dapat ba? Sayang lang. It's always good na ikaw ra gyud ang nag-decide sa imong business. Lisod ang stakeholder management. If you have investors, you will need to learn a skill of stakeholder management. Saan nimo pag-deal sa ilaha. There are different kinds of people. Unya, whether you like it or not, of course, you're using their money eh. So, accountable jud ka sa ilaha. So, naagyud, there's that factor. What's po itong question mo isa?
Regarding managing the finance sa business.
Ako, na-experience ako before, naman sa katong nag-events may nga ang money is walay proper liquidation. So, mao gito yung learning na ako nga daily gid ako usbon sa akong negosyo. So in Aquila, what I did is that I protected the business from myself. Okay, number one, pamilyado ko, na-adjust tendencies na magamit na ko ang kwarta sa company, my own. No? So what I did, mo nang naami CFO. So tanang kwarta, moagi gid na sa akong CFO. Dili ko ka-withdraw basta-basta, na dili siya kabalo. So ako swildado ra ko sa ako ang negosyo. So I think that's a better way to handle your finances. Para ikaw as an owner, you protect your business. Kaya remember, ang kwarta sa imong negosyo dili na imong kwarta. Oh, so dapat you should have, and ang gwapo pud ana kay pag-abot sa liquidation, pag-abot sa imong financial statement, makita kay soldado man ka. So you have your own salary, so katura pud imong magasto. So if you need additional things personal, pwede ka mag-cash advance. So which is what I'm doing. Kung na ako'y personal na bayaran, may ko pa-cash advance na lang ko be. At least bawas sa akong sweldo. So, pag-abot sa liquidation, ang katong gasto sa Aquila yun. Gasto. So,
At least, po siya ba, no? Keep track kasi mong numbers sa imong, kay, unsa ba ang business, kung unsa ang numbers, dili gina nagalay. Unless na lang gud kung gikorap nimo, gidula nimo, mao nimo na. Which is, gibuhat po na ako before, same business na kariya. Kay, ko ba na, unsa kuha ko mga 10, 15K sa akong business. Tapos, makaya lang man ako, balik by, next month, utangon sa anak ko. O niya, to the point na, niabot pod ko ba na, napamanday ko yung utang sa akong negosyo. Asa naman ang kwarta padulong. Mao to, digto ko na himong believer gid og accounting. Gid ko dapat gid accounted gid tanan from gas, tubig, tanan gid gid nimo. Kay masking piso lang mali gid na siya kung nagay missing na piso. Nagay something wrong sa imong finances. So, po sir, ang question napad nako is you had naman sir no, may investors ka man ngayon sir no, mga financers. Ginaon sa nimo sila pag-handle or ginaon sa nimo pagbalik silang kwarta kay murag naman ay unsa nimo murag terms na invest ko 100,000 ibalik sa ko kay 10%, murag balikan ko nimo 10% every quarterly, so murag pila man 40k a year, or mali ba ko ang pagsabat sa niya?
In terms of investors, I have two kinds of investors currently. So I have equity investors and I have profit sharing investors. So for equity investors, ang nasa contract is if the company exceeds a net profit of 5 million pesos, ang katong iyahang sum, tama ba ko? Iyahang sum, mo to among i-dividends. No? So, depende na siya sa with the board discretion. No? Unless otherwise, mayroon ang board niya, mag-expansion ta, magpalit ang building, then, but otherwise, pag ma-exceed ng 5 million pesos, dividends kina siya. Those are for the equity investors. For the profit-sharing investors naman, I have two. Lahi po ang ilaha kay profit-sharing man. So, quarterly, financial report ni sa ilaha na mo ni ang kuan. And then, from the net profit, dito po sila mo profit share. So, depende sa kung pila ilang gi-shell out na money, dito po ang ilang percentage of kuan. So, ana ang bahinanay sa karon.
So, at last, so, kanang, as you said, sir, no, na from profit sharing point of view, which is, mao magid ang pinakadali masabtan sa tanan in terms of financing and investing. Pila ka percent imong ginabalik, sir, sa ilahang investment na gihatag?
Mao to depende siya sa pila ilang gi-shell out na money. So what we did before is, let's say, mayroon ko na I need 1 million pesos for 30% profit share. So kung muhatag kag 1 million, then you get all the piece of the pie, which is the 30%. So kung duha man sila, let's just say for example, si investor 1 ihatag og 500,000, si isa is nihatag 500,000. So 15% sila of the profit. So ana ang kuan.
So, sir, no, as you said na katong, so, unsa nimo siya pagbalik, sir? Every, sige tawag na, namoy project, tapos, na mo sulod na kwarta, ginahatag din niya dahil ng 15% or, murag na by terms na, ibalik lang nako sa mo annually, or,
Sa is quarterly ang tagay sa profit. Na okay. Kinahanglan mo gramo og full na accounting kay dili lang ang nag-invest mo sila is akila sa consulting. Pero naamang detected express karon nagbuhi. So ang ginakwenta is dili lang siya per project but the income of the entire company as a whole. So including si Phoenix Plus, including si Akila na projects. So that's why every quarter naga-generate si CFO na ko og financial statement and balance sheet na dito makita kung pila ang net profit, and then from there less na matotalan expenses, that's the total naman for a quarter, dito na nakuhaan na yun.
so murag for this quarter kaltas for that quarter para dili makuratan ng negosyo og para matuyok pa pud siya. Okay. Yeah. Okay, question.
Speaking of investors, sir, ba, kanang advisable for you na kanang imuhang ipa-invest is kanang suod nimong amigo. Dili ba na mag-lead na pagka nang wala na ng kadimaong kwarta nang magkagubot mo, mag-away-away, ganit nga. Dara pa noon mo magkadisgusto, ganit nga. Sa mga makiklaro. Ana, ganun.
Actually, nakaremember ko kay Sir Ton. Si Sir Ton, he has a different experience regarding that. Ang kasagaran sa kauban niya sa negosyo, yung close friends. Pero ang beauty sa ilaha kay ang ihang mga close friends, ang gina-invest nila na money, katong willing nila i-risk. So, I think for all investors, dapat yun na. When you invest in something, dapat katong willing kang risk. Sa ako namang part, I don't have friends na naingan na ng kwarta. So, medyo hindi ko karelate. Pero, I don't think it's something you should do. Honestly, I don't think. Kay, lahi mo yun ang dynamics sa business ba eh. Kanang, na-every times na kanang maglalis mo, na kanang, hindi asang din naman nung kwarta. Ano mo na, so, the same with relatives, di ba? Ipa-invest mo si Uncle karong Pasko, so nag-Pasko din mo ba? Wala na kayo sa tagay.
May apil sa tapo.
Wala na kayo apil. Nataotan na kay Uncle. So, yeah, kapili ko mo sa news. It's better na katong professional din mo na connections. At least, klaro yung mga sapon. Ano lang na. Pero if tanaw ni mo na again someone na willing din sa maybe na kay friends na daghan.
Ay, Okay na ba? Dahil, ano mo gani, ano, sir, is, like, ako ba? Kanang murag na ako yung gamayng kwarta. Kanang si Charles, gusto niya mag-expand. Tapos murag, ano ko, katong gaya na tong giistoryahan ganina, na dili pwede na, kung naa kay kwarta, ipatulog lang gani mo. As much as possible, dapat nagalayo kong kwarta. So, kaya, murag nag-offer ko sa iya na, kanang, if need ni mo, pre, na ako, kanang ana gani. Dili man ing ana ka dako ang
Sweet.
Di kay kung makita mo gani mo ang ilahang setup karon sir, na gyud.
Yeah.
Oh, maka-proud gyud. Ana gani kanang kung ikaw po na nagin pa dun ngani. So, murag ako po ba murag sayang man uy kung pasagdan lang nako ngani gani. So, ang gina problema karon basig gani basig sobra nako ka open sa idea nga nakasuod man ni Charles kanang murag basta mag-away mi ba mura ning rason ba nga gani. So, murag ako kay nang gusto ko mga yung perspective ba na about sa investor na yun.
In that case, I think, ang wapuhin mo, mati pa franchise mo sa iya ha. Kumbaga murag ang idea, pwede ganit din i-franchise din. I'm not sure in terms of sa balaod ha, hindi mo ko yun. Pero basig pwede na branch out, pero you handle the operations. In that way, you handle your own money. Bayad ng royalty sa iyang brand, o sa iyang recipes, o sa iyang ano. Para imong kwarta, kabalo ka sa padulong. Kaya ikaw may nag-handle, ikaw may nasa operations. Diba? Or you hire someone na mag-manage para ikaw mismo pwede. Para at the end of the day, kung ngayon ikaw na, asa mo daw kung pakambot lang mo, ikaw na nila.
Wala pa sang inlay.
Oo, wala pa sang inlay. Diba? Basta yun, ito siya.
Murag ano siya, sir, somehow na mo siya, separate na, murag somehow na mo siya separate, separate entity ang business.
Yes.
Kay, murag siya nag-bayad ng siya, royalties, mga, so at least, protected ang iyang investment. Protected pa lang ako ang, business.
Yes.
Sa so at least kung naamay isa lugi sa amo dili tanan madamay. Tama ba akong pagsagot?
Yes, oo. Ang isa po na ko nakita na advantage sa ana kay sa iyahang pagsulod, you already tested that specific model na wala kayo risk for your business. So, if mo work ang style na ingon ato, sundog-sundog na daw ninyo, then you have your expansion already na at naka-individualize imuhang pag-expand. Then you get a piece of the income. Diba?
So ano din yapon siya? Hindi yapon siya studyhan.
Ay, of course, but kanay always good ang isa pa gyud ako na pag dagi kay buhaton na move, always gyud mo tan-aw ng pros and cons. Daghan jud kay kag ani or siguro ako man pugod kasabang ko sa kasawa kay langayan daw kay ko. Kanang dili man gud ko kanang dili ko kanang lihok dayon na kanaya na dili. I always murag na gyud ako ang habit na begin with an end in mind. Kanang always ginako ginaano nga pag dili ni makumpleto sa kung una-una ang mental puzzle na dili ginako na buhaton kay dili man gud ko hawd og improvisation, dili ko hawd og kanang diha good na kalit-kalit, dili ko hawd ana. It's not my forte. So I'm the type of person na kailangan i-anticipate sa ako tanan may tabo before, although if naamang di mo gina perfect, naamang gina di mo gina 100% na you'll anticipate everything, pero at least naadjud kay something na bakante ra pwede ra ana ba mga ingana na dagan. Yeah.
What if? What if kanang naay bigger corporation say ang Ayala mag-create og kanang healthcare leg nila, and then say mag-create sila og something that's similar to Aquila's something na similar ang services to Clinics Plus. So for you as a smaller company versus Ayala, how do you navigate that? Like, Ayala nung kalaban, and then naa sila same ideas ako ang app, tapos infinite funding, like you as an entrepreneur niya. Murag gulayat og David ba? So how do you move forward? Like, just an example lang ha. Kay naamo ko yung instances na for example ako na ko'y idea tapos i-share na ako, mag-start na ako and then ma-overheard sa someone yan apay mas kwarta and then they start it the same idea. And then for me overwhelming sa kuha kay ako limited lang kayo kung resources tapos siya kay like dagan kayo network dagan kayo etc. So it's a very challenging reality na potentially mas malabawan ko niya even if sa ako ang idea ako ang idea na so ikaw sir how would you deal with it?
Actually, it already happened. Gi-investa ni... Di ko sure ha kung tama ko information.
Name drop.
Pero, yeah. Gi-investa ni company, a very big company invested in one of our competitors. I think the investment was related to 200M.
Yeah. I will,
200
Uh,
200M.
yeah, so, kind of siya. Actually, it already happened. No? So, um, and this question also, pang tanin sa ko during one of my talks in UM. Basically, it's competition still. Um, Aquila, the way I see things, honestly, I'm going to explain it by sharing an example from one of the books I've read. Nakalimot ko sa to. Basta it's so there's this one guy na nakasabay niya sa taxi ang one of the product developers of sino tablet sa Microsoft.
Surface.
Yeah. So, ang kato siya na guy, he was always kuan niya kan, oh, kwapo kini mo compared to Apple, kwapo kini mo compared to Apple. Kita kan di ano. So katong author sa book, siya bapo gid na imo ko ano pa siya. Oh. Karon pag abot niya sa Apple, interview po niya tong product developer sa Apple. Niya na tong product developer sa Apple nga. Well, no doubt they have a very good product. More giingon. So the point of the discussion is that Apple, they have a very good product because they're not looking into competitors. What they're doing is that they're looking into their previous version. So, in short, ang ilang focus is their own product and how they can bring value to their customers rather than looking competitors. So, with Aquila, it's the same principle na I'm looking into. Because competition is always there. Pinoy good ta. Pag magginanggang ka diri speakers kanto, imong sige nga magginanggang gid na. Copy paste. Oh, copy paste. Ang worst pag muundang ka, muundang pod. So, ingon iambot niya no, ingon ana gid mentalidad no. And given with your example, Ayala is a very big company, no? Kung for example, yeah, so well, what matemahin mo? They have the funds, they have the budget. So I'm going to focus on my own product to provide value to my customers. I'm going to focus on this is what Seth Godin has mentioned to your minimum specified target audience. So kana.
so, karon sir ganong ask ka ba? Ikaw na mas kanang like mas na-figure out na ang life gani. Ano? pero compared sa mo like for you, unsa gyud formula sa life gid? Like how do you do it gid to live the life that kanang ing ana gid?
Philosophy. Philosophy. Yeah. Well, disclaimer lang yun. Kasi ko honestly, I don't really consider myself. Well, of course, yung mga bata ko magitagilan. Medyo naguna lang ito gamay. Naguna lang ito mga pinaka-liguan. Pero, honestly, I haven't really figured something out. I think um, sa parang mystery in life is that you really can figure out things. Kana, there will always be something new that you will experience, something new that you will learn. And I think to answer your question, ang ako lang yung is to welcome everything as part of learning. Ayun na, bago na gini, so, because keeping that mindset that there's always room for change, there's always room for improvement, and what you know now may not be true tomorrow.
No, so I think in that sense, mas dali nimo ba navigate ang life because there will be no dominant na credit na dapat. And second na I can ano is that this is something that's always constant to me. Always put God first. I tend to malimot ana at times na nagkaroon ng problema daghan ano makalimot ka wala ka sa passing ba pero this is what I learned from my father na dili kinako wala lang sa ako ang kinabuhi sa ako ang family it's always put God first na at 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 the end of the day walay mabilin sa imuha walay consent mo it's always God is always there so I think kana rin ko kung ano in terms of that question.
Ikaw, ah,
Sir, what motivates you right now, sir?
Um, what motivates me right now, aside from my family and I think the excitement of going towards something na kanang wala pa ba? Kaya ganing the vision of Activities Plus nito is to really create an ecosystem for care service. And since wala pa siya karon, the team is very excited. Now we are developing it in kanang hinay-hinay, nakita na lang mo ang fruition nito sa mga vision. Oh no, karon makasumpay naman ni like you can already book appointments using the app, talagang sa doctor, and then you're onboarding pharmacies now. So when you go to Clinics Plus, makachap na kadiretso, pwede na siya ang mag-appointment for you. And then si pharmacy, pwede na siya magpalit o tambal for you. So, kana na circle, although it's not yet complete, pero kanang at least hinihinay na ano ba. So, kana siya in terms of business, kana ila nakakaano sa motivate.
Ano sa'yo pinakadako ni mo na reality check while working on Clinics Plus?
Reality.
Like, paano nyo kang holy like, unsa na siya? Unsa yung mga reality check ni mo?
Well, disclaimer, wala ko nag ha, pero well, pinaka-reality check na it's never easy. And it's never gonna get easy. Bago lang ako nag-iingon sa kwang pamangkin. Ano siya, kanang na-discourage siya. Ano, kasi life will never get easy. You'll get better. So, siya. You will encounter the same problems, most probably bigger problems than what you're encountering now. Pero, again, it's never gonna be easy. So, wag ako ang reality check. Because, kaya ganyan ako ito na ako, paghanyag sa atong boss ako, uy, take over ang business. Accepted gigo ba yun? Uy, negosante na dito. Paulo, that businessman, at di ba ko, ano na mga tirada ba? Pag sagot sa negosyo, sudo yun.
wala kang napasubo.
Oh, ano, gidawat man din ako eh. Ano, ganun. So, mo yung tinahita ko sa wala. And then, fast forward 6 years, it never did get easier by from 2019 to karon 2025. Murag nagkaana man yung kalisod noon. As the business grows, as things develop, ni samot mo yun din noon. So, akong, yeah.
Pero do you regret any of it, sir? Na,
Regret ba?
ka na nagka-reason.
Wala. It's something na I've always tawag I think regret is a pretty strong word for it. Pero bang feeling na kanang makaano ka na what if I took an hurt path? Something like that maybe. Pero in terms of nagmahay ko na because going back sa kung story to bring na off cam kanang there's no other way for me. Okay, hindi ko graduate. As mo padulong, I don't have the right last name. Diba, di mo anak politiko, di mo anak lugar. Wala ko yung fallback. Yeah, wala ko yung fallback. Wala ko yung connections lahat. I did not come from a prestigious school. Ako mga classmate, anak ni Mona. So, I only have my dreams. Kaya again, ang isusunod ko, hindi ko musunod. Kaya nila ko hindi ako kinabuhi by gani. So, and my faith in the Lord, tamangit ko. Ihatod ko rin mo kung asa ko padulong. I only have that. So, I don't have any other.
So those hardships are mo itong
reason mo hindi sa kakaroon. It's like, yeah, I always talk with my wife. Tingnan ko na, we always say, okay, ang parang, ang, ang atong experiences before is kanang when you look back and then when you're there during that situation, what kayo makita niya positive. So, isa lang taan ni, grabe struggle. In fact, last year was one of the worst years we've had, both personal and business. Grabe, kanisod yun. Kanang halos kada adlaw ka nag-struggle, pagmata lang sa buntag, ano, di bangon, kanang, ano na nga ka, pero karon when look back, sige, katawag ka na, siguro wala na mo ito nagian. We would not become the person we are now. We wouldn't learn that lesson. We wouldn't be able to improve the process of the business. No? So, parang mo
If, ano sir, if tagaan of, or like, if na ay chance na mubalik ka sa past, kanang mo, ay okay na. Nagmurag tunay ba? If mubalik ka sa past sir, mas pilion ba gihapon nimo kung unsa ka karon, or like mag-try kag different ventures, or kay katong ginaingon nimo nga murag nagkalisod ka, ana gud ka nang ikaw unsa may ko nimo?
well, actually, maglamay ako ang tinabuhi ron ba?
Nakita ra gyud. At least na yun.
Oh, dili pa ko dato. Layo pa sa tinood. Layo pa sa na sa tinood. Pero I'm very, I consider myself as very blessed. Not because kanang I have much, but looking back before, I think I've kumbaga lay na to kid compared sa amin. So that's the thing I'm very proud of. This is from self, but to everyone na nag-support sa kuan, ganyan, okay, I owe it all to them. Sa akong family. So, I think I'll choose the same path.
If ano sir, if mawala pa rin ka lang sino karon na day, tingin niyo mo payo nimo mabalik ugma, or like dili pa nakagad-agad na ugma tayo, pero maingon ba nimo na kaya nimo pagkaugma na nagkay na plan?
Well, actually, I've been always thinking of going back to zero. So, yes, he can, ang kagalitan, ako'y nabasa na quote, ingon niya na, ang entrepreneurs daw, since you're all aspiring entrepreneurs, what we don't realize is that we are building two things in business. One is our business, two is ourselves. So, ang beauty in entrepreneurship and starting your own venture is that you are also building yourself. And that's something that no one can take away from you. Kay mawala man yung business, mawala yung kwarta, mawala man ang prestige sa life, what you have here and what you have here will always be with you. So, pag mawala ni tanan karon, pagkaugma, start again and
Wala na akong caption sa
So for my last question, let's talk about work-life balance, because in some way or another we are dealing with it. Some of us are struggling, some of us are handling it better. So now, Sir Paulo, as the CEO of Akilas Software and a leader, no,
Char.
how do you balance business development and your love life? Wow, Mom Liz.
Kuya,
How do you
love life.
balance that?
Specific love life, good.
Yeah, okay.
Love life.
Diba, when working on business, it requires 100% of our time, our mental capabilities, etc., etc. But also in the human relationship spectrum, it requires our time as well to develop. Kaya even if uyab na or asawa na, dili man jud na kailangan stagnant lang. We also need to develop it to make it more strong moving forward. So, you as a CEO, how do you manage your love life and your business with Mom Liz?
Yeah. Actually, it's something that it's very difficult to handle. Naamang gina akong asawa di aboy, amang gina akong asawa di sa tapad. Hi, Mami.
It's
Sana all.
yeah, pero yeah, pero it's listen din kayo. Actually magyaw-yaw na siya kay kanang usahay. I think it's not about the time, but ever since I started doing business, I started Aquila, ang always ginaano sa ko kay maglisod siya, makakita sa ko nga maglisod. Kay kanang sleepless nights na matingala siya nga nung maglutok na lang imong mata because you're thinking asa pa ko mangitag kwarta sa ano pag-sustain. I think that's the most difficult part. In terms of time magkasinabot raman mi. Nagkalisod lang mi katong baby pag yun among si Kaisa kay syempre di man siya pwede makalakaw-lakaw kay baby pa mo gid niya wala yaya so lisod pero karon medyo naka-adjust naman mi sa time pero kana siya ang emotional struggle ang difficult so I think crush siya sa Ginoo nagkasinabot naman pud yun mi kanang sige we have to do this we have to arrange karon ang ako ang ginaano sa iya nga kung magpulaw ko ayaw apil kay ang ending pagkaugma pulaw na tang duha kisa pa'y mabilin so ingon ana so karon nagsabot-sabot lang mi nga sige ingon ani na time maybe we can do this and then naa mi mga activities na we go together because we already kanya medyo 1 year old and 5 months naman si Kay no 1 year old and 5 months na so yeah. At least na pa'y mabilin sa iya so kami maka-date na magbalik
Importante yun ang date.
yes importante yun ang date ay kana ba nood yun na grabe si Jen kana mayang mana
Shout out Ate Maria.
shout out yan
So very important gid kayo sir ang like kanang magpili gid kag partner gid sa life gid. Murag kana gid dapat gid ang kanang biggest investment gid nimo.
nakayam karon
Sana all.
bitaw
Kuan gid na siya sa mga sir kanang murag rule of thumb gid na dapat kailangan gid ako ang wife gid na or partner gid na ako is ano gid kanang like kanang makasabot gid para or like mo support gid siya sa ako para ano gid.
yes actually very important yun na siya kay as entrepreneurs manggod kanang sa banay always ako ni ginaingon sa iyahan na kanang lahi ang kumbaga the path na we are going to take or you guys are going to take is very different from all the other paths our job starts when everyone else sleeps so mo gani lang mo is ginaingon tulog na imo mga empleyado pero ikaw kung walay kwarta ang business you take the blame if the business fails you take the blame if the business succeeds everyone takes the credit ana gyud ang atong being a leader is very difficult and kanang at times na kanang down ka dili na nimo pwede ipakita sa imong team or else tanan mo ma-demotivate no and the only person that you can rely on during this time is your wife is your partner so I'm very blessed to have Mommy Liz
Sana all.
pero disclaimer it's not always like that no so of course we struggled a lot daghan kay nahitabo daghan jud nahitabo yan so pero karon I'm very blessed we are very blessed na kana nagkasinabot ra gyud and we are still together stronger so to answer your question yes ba it's very important yun make sure na she understands entrepreneurship po siya
Yes po.
Gwapo na tagsa-tagsa mo gusto pero kani in terms of family since we're already in this topic ako ma-advise gyud don't start a family while growing your business kana gyud ako ma-advise because we've experienced it times 2 ang kalisod kung grabe kalisod magsugod ang negosyo growing a child is way more difficult challenging like honestly mausab gyud ang kinabuhi masabtan na gyud ako kung ginikanan maingon nga makasabot ra mo kung kamo na po nay anak kana gana na mga linyahan masabtan gyud na inyo nana ba nay anak sa inyo wala pa man ayaw sa grabe simba ko yeah no di ba Sir G here again so it's something na I would not really advise na mag-start og siguro pwede magpakasal para legit. Pwede magpakasal. Pero if starting like mag-baby, I would really advise against this. Ayaw sa gibay.
Sir, you mentioned sir no na kay anak sir. Pila ka unsay edad niya sir as of now?
1 year and 5 months.
Akong question sir kay di ba you said na dili nimo gusto ma-experience sa imong anak kung unsay na experience nimo. Akong question is wouldn't that take away ang iyang possibilities na makagrow siya sa iyang own murag ganang iyang sarili na sa ba struggles kay di ba ikaw you were formed tungod sa imong experiences before and if ingnon nimo na dapat dili niya ma-experience na wouldn't you be robbing him ba siya sir or her?
Her.
Wouldn't you be robbing her of that chance na she would become who she is tungod kay nag-struggle ko siya sa iyang life sir?
Okay, well, I think it's a different thing if you intentionally give struggles to your child or like you would let her experience it herself. So, Kaisha is the name of my baby. She will have different struggles in life. She will have different challenges. And as a parent, we will not be robbing it from her. However, ang katong na experience na mo nga kalisod, kung iato kalisod, dili po na mo intentionally ihatag sa iya. Okay, so there's that. One thing I've learned as well is that I don't want Kaisha to be like me or her mother. I want her to be better. So it's something na I really learned from my father na dili ko gusto na mapariha ka sa kuha. I want you to be better. So the same thing with my daughter. I want her to be better than us. Better as a person most specifically. In fact, I always ganun mo ginaingon niya. Kanang we are doing this, we are struggling so that our child can become who she wants in life. Or who she's intended to be, because that's something na wala sa amo, wala na mo na siya na wala ni ana na opportunity because we needed to struggle to survive. So kana siya ang gusto mo. Probably she will have all different struggles as well because number one, she's living in a different generation, diba? And then she's different in a whole other context than what we used to be. So kana rest assured, we will not shelter her. Kaya ako dili jud ko nang pampered kay ang baby. Karon gani mo ana iya na. Grabe ka kuya ba dili jud ka arte sa imong anak. Kay ma-compare niya kay na siya pamangkin na dili patamakon sa salog, kay hugam. Ako nga anak bulingit. Pero lingaw kayo siya kay kanang like kumbaga murag madagma siya, tindog ko siya na gani. So yeah, kana siya.
So, ano sir no? Very ironic ang negosyo ba? Kay ang first motivation gid nako sa negosyo kay para na ko'y kwarta. Dili ko mag-work 8 hours, di ko mag-work og 8 hours. Dili ko 9 to 5. Unya pag abot kaning ano ba sa among implementation na sorry maka ano lang gid 24/7 man akong trabaho. Kapuyo 24/7. Murag ano good mahuman mi sa mo ang ano alas 12. So pag human na kay instead na pag alas 12 matulog na ka after ansa pa ka nagmata pa ka mga alauna alas 3 kay maghuna-huna na pod ka kung saon man pud nako ni ugma oy kapuya na gamay. Mana motivator gana ko na dapat pag graduate gud steady na ang negosyo kay ano lagi di man ta pwede worker. Kapuyan. So ang sir, ang question gid nako is for you unsa gid ang greatest factor as negosyante ka? Unsa ba ni? Unsa na siya na pag unsa sa niya ba?
Murag factor in
murag siya factor pa. Ang guts or ang attitude gid sa kay ma-differentiate man nimo ang guts is lakas lang ng loob pero dili man nimo maingon gud na ang lakas ng loob maglas till kay syempre burnouts, ang hinayang. Pero ang attitude man good is dili pwede ingon nilang everyday gina-choose gini mo na mumata ka. Masking wala na kay no choice ba na mga butang ba kanang kailangan
mo motivation or discipline.
marana nga tama. Motivation or discipline.
Yeah.
Or yes, sir.
Well, I think that's a pretty obvious answer. Discipline yun. Kay at the end of the day, ang motivation nimo usually kanay sa business na mo, usually ang motivation nimo it only comes if you hit a milestone. Diba? Like, when you hit, we already hit 100 users. Yeah, motivated kay ka. Dami kayo magnegosyo na. Pagkaugma na ba yun? Then, motivate mo ka pag, among payroll is 520 man. Pag abot na ginag mga pizza 2, pizza 3, agad wala niya. Di na kaganahan mo bangon. Pag humag payroll, pagka 6, mix sweldo. Pakaw na sa gawas, guys. Pag abot mo ng mga pizza 18, agoy wala na to, anak ko. So, in short, discipline yun. Like, related na lang po sa gugma man to. It's pretty much the same thing. I think it's pretty much the same thing. In terms of love is not actually a feeling, but it's a decision. So, the same thing with your partner in life, personal life, and the same thing with your business. Love is not something na you feel na I love my business. Tell it to me kung nangayon ang payroll, kung na-loan nga nag-due, kung na-checking nga ni bounce, kung naakay kliyente nga wala nalipay, kung naakay customer nga mo churn, tell it to me nga you love your business, di ba? Di ka kaingon. Maingon jud ka nga anong gibuhat man ko ni, dangon na ako ni. Ana. Pero love is something that you choose. It's always choosing to do it on a daily basis. Decision gid siya. Intentional decision na I will continue, I will do this for this reason. Now, the same thing with your partners in life, with your na your partner is not always lovable. Kasi gwapam gyud akong asawa, pero dili gyud na siya lovable always. Labi nagyaw-yawan ka, agoy, di gyud na lovable. Pero you choose to be with her for the rest of your life. Decision. Ana yun. The same thing in business.
Glowing like karon, sir.
Siyempre! Yeah. Well, I think that's a wrap for our episode for today. Now, this is episode 7. So, thank you so much, guys, for being here on a very short notice. Once again, I'm Paulo Rodriguez of Aquila Softwares Corporation, and of course, Vision to Venture. Please hit the bell for notifications and our Facebook page and dire sa Pikas ang atang Instagram and TikTok. Thank you so much, and once again, bye.